G'day everyone. My name's Alister. I'm here to talk to you about our project down in Melbourne, which has just recently been renamed the Metro Tunnel. We are... I'm confused by the thing here. We're at the start of our journey. We're a 10-year project, so we're at the start of our sustainability journey and our delivery journey. But we wanted to take you through where we've got to thus far in the 16 or 18 odd months of the authority, and also where to from here. So we hope that there's some lessons in there for everyone involved, some of the client-side organisations, but also contractors and consultants today. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the project, Melbourne is Australia's fastest growing city, and we've currently got 4.4 million people. If forecasts are correct, we are going to have 10 million people in Melbourne by 2051, and I need not explain the pressures that's going to lead to. That's reflected in what we've... it's reflected in our rail network patronage, and there we go. Where basically between 2000 and 2010, the rail network doubled in patronage in Melbourne, and from now till about 2031, it's forecast to double again. And obviously the population growth is a key part of that. Another element that's part of that is also the changing nature of the city, so the growth of the CBD, the rise of knowledge city jobs in the central area, and other patterns that are actually driving this growth. So these are not uncommon pressures in Australian cities. So one of the Victorian government responses has been to put forward the Metro Tunnel project. It's a 9-kilometre tunnel basically between Kensington in the top right corner of the slide there and South Yarra. We have 5 new stations through the inner part of Melbourne, and it's a $10.9 billion project right in the middle of town. The ultimate result will be that there will be an independent line basically running between Sunbury, which is in the top left part of the screen there. Sunbury trains will be taken out of the city loop in the middle, and they will join up with the Cranbourne-Pakenham trains in the southeast or the bottom right corner. So basically you'll have an independent line with dedicated rolling stock running between those 2 points. That'll lead to a massive capacity increase on those lines, but also by taking trains out of the existing loop, the other lines that are marked in green there, so in various parts of the north and west and southeast of the city, they will also get capacity benefits as space becomes available in the inner part of the rail network. So there is a flow-on effect there. We're also changing how people move around by tram around the city. So with stations like Domain and Parkville, there will be places that aren't currently served by heavy rail that will be, and that allows the trams to do their job to provide the connections in the shorter and medium distances a bit better. Because at the moment, if you're from Melbourne or you visit Melbourne going down St Kilda Road or up to the uni at Parkville can be a bit of a hassle. So the project has a number of capacity and system benefits. And I'll just quickly run you through the procurement approach that we're taking. And again, this is just, I guess, context for people. We have broken up the project into a number of work packages. And the first one, in green there, is our early works package. That's at various key spots. That's utility service, relocation, some shaft construction and other things. That package has already been awarded. The next package off the rank is our tunnels and stations PPP package, so that's effectively the 5 stations and the 9 kilometres of tunnel. We have another package called rail infrastructure, and that is the portals at either end of the tunnel, plus other upgrades along the existing rail corridors that we wanted to keep that quarantined off from the tunnel and stations greenfield site, if you like. And the final one that sort of threads them all together, and that's the sort of the orange line there, is our Rail Systems Alliance, which is about the signalling, the communications, the passenger information, and those other things that we need for the project to succeed. So moving on to sustainability more specifically, after giving you a bit of a cook's tour of the project, we've today I want to talk to you about I guess, 3 streams that we've been following up here with the project, and the first one is about leadership and buy-in and building capacity and culture in our organisation. There we go. And the second one is about developing and setting our sustainability requirements, and finally also developing our reference design while we're at it, and also some of the innovations we've been pursuing and we're going to be expecting our contractors to try and investigate further and take further. So they're really the 3 main streams I want to talk to you about today. We've been very busy for the last 14 months doing all those 3 things, and we don't anticipate that's going to slow down anytime soon as contracts are awarded and as the work really commences in earnest. So the first stream is about leadership. Okay, so we have 4 sort of key approaches we've been taking in terms of leadership buy-in. I guess from the start of the project we knew it was essential that the leadership team was endorsing and across what we're proposing, and the first one in there is understanding individuals' drivers. So that's really about the work we've done in creating an engagement plan with our leadership team, and that was I guess finding out what the individual drivers were for different areas. So the risks and opportunities for our commercial team and our commercial leadership were different to our stakeholder and comms or other parts there. So it was understanding some of those things, as well as also just the individual style of our leaders, so a bit of emotional intelligence and just making sure that we're presenting things to people that they would understand and they would respond to. The next part of that is our communication, and again there was the engagement plan really played a role in that, because there was a systematic approach in terms of updates to leadership as a group, updates one-on-one, and addressing concerns as they came up, but trying to get a bit of foresight and actually understanding what would be the hot buttons, I guess, that people would be interested in. So, and we had to be pretty nimble about that, because our contract process has been very fast-moving, so we wanted to make sure that that's been ahead of the game there. The other thing, I guess, that we've been interested in is early identification of champions. So recognising, I guess, that everyone's journey on sustainability is different, how do we get unanimous support across our leadership, and so champions in our leadership team in other areas were very important to us, because they could help provide feedback on key issues, and actually we could be a bit proactive in addressing issues, and they could also champion these things in the rough and tumble of leadership meetings where things are thrashed out. The last element we did was leadership training, and this is sort of beyond I guess the foundation training that ISCA runs. We knew our leadership team wouldn't have time to do the 2-day training, so we got some ISCA representatives in, and they did a 2-hour session with our leadership to ensure that they sort of spoke the same language when they're discussing the tool, and also providing information about what other projects have done and done successfully, to provide them comfort about how this could occur on our project. And I'd definitely recommend taking this up if you've got the opportunity, about making sure that your leadership is across the key issues and is comfortable with the approach. The next thing we've been working on is our governance framework. So we've developed a sustainability policy with a vision in that, and that was signed off early last year by our CEO. We've also currently polishing off our sustainability strategy and a program-wide management plan. We're expecting our contractors to implement their own management plans that would feed into that. And also we've got our sustainability targets as well, and I'll get into that in a sec. The governance framework, I guess, has amongst its many advantages, I guess, is that it does demonstrate to everyone around the organisation the who, what and how of getting to the sustainability destination that we want to get to. And it also demonstrates commitment to our stakeholders in terms of other transport organisations, local councils, other stakeholders, about how we, our commitment to getting a great sustainability design and delivery to the project. And just closing out that first stream, I guess, was about capability and capacity and culture. So our view is that it isn't we're not relying on the sustainability team to achieve what we want to achieve. We need everyone in the organisation to help out and do their part. So following on from having the leadership endorsement, that's actually helped us build up capacity and culture. On the capacity side of things, we've set up a sustainability working group that has representatives from a number of, across the whole range of the organisation. So that's our procurement, our design, engineering, commercial, comms, all the different parts of the project. And they've been invaluable in setting our targets. They've also been invaluable in championing sustainability in their teams. And on top of that, we have been running a number of our people through the ISCA Foundation training and also the GBCA training. So we've run 32 people across the organisation through to become ISAPs, and we've got a similar number. We're in a bit later stage with the GBCA tool, but the same thing there, so that there's an understanding of the tools across areas who may not have other exposure to it. We also have been working on our engagement plan in terms of building up the culture of sustainability in the project. So there's been a lot of work there about branding and messaging and getting that across and understanding to people. We've also been doing a lot of activities in terms of lunch and learns and other things like that, and we expect that's going to continue. And a lot of that has happened with collaboration across within the organisation, also with others as well, and I think that's a thing that I'll get to shortly. So the next stream that I want to talk about was our requirements, so how we've gone about developing and setting our requirements. We've started with targets, so we've set 33 targets across 9 key themes because it's a 10-year project. It's $10.9 billion. There's a lot of opportunity to lead the market and change the market, but also obviously there would be an opportunity lost if we didn't actually pursue this. So we've been really keen to make sure that not only are we focusing on things such as materials, we're using like concrete and water obviously in our project, we're also very keen on social procurement, workforce, and also urban ecology and vegetation. And I take the point from Richard's talk earlier about social licence to operate. There is an element of that. We're going to be disrupting the centre of Melbourne for a number of years while we build this project. We need to be able to say that there's actually benefits even in the short term before the trains start running and the trams are reorganised. So the sustainability working group that I talked about earlier, they've been a massive help in framing those targets and also helping with the benchmarking for those targets. So for instance, we are looking to double the canopy cover of affected trees by the project by 2040. So there's a recognition, I guess, that Melbourne's treasured boulevards and parks, we want to make sure that we minimise the impact on them, but also there's a positive legacy, and also recognising, again, we're in the middle of town, we're not impacting on ecology in the usually known sense, but there's a different type of ecology we're dealing with here. And that moves on to rating tools, actually. So we have a target, an overall project target of 70 under the IS rating tool, and we're also seeking a 5-star Green Star rating for all our stations using a bespoke underground station rating tool we've developed with the GBCA guys. So our packages will be implementing that commensurate with their scope and the value of their project or their package. But we think that 70 is a very good start for the project. We obviously expect that that our contractors and our deliverers will actually do better than that. And moving on to contracts, just quickly, having had the targets and the expectations about rating tools, we have included all of that in our contractual requirements. And when we say we've taken an integrated approach, we have actually we've farmed out the targets into the community type targets have been put in that part of the contract. The design targets have been put into that part of the contract. It's actually making sure that accountability is across the bidders. And we have also done a lot of work in terms of providing a head start to our bidders in terms of supporting documentation and other things there, so that they're not starting from a cold start, they're actually starting ahead of the game. And the final thing I wanted to talk about was our reference design, which we've been working on in the meantime as well, and our innovations. So we've done carbon footprinting on a reference design. We have ensured that all the discipline reports in the reference design take account of the sustainability targets and the requirements and demonstrate they can be done. And that goes also into the preparation of the design briefs as well, for both ourselves and our technical advisor. We've also been doing a lot of work with ISCA and GBCA in terms of scorecard pathways to achieve what we want to achieve. We have done a climate change risk assessment and set projections for the project in terms of design requirements. Base case frameworks in terms of materials and energy have been put forward, and we've also done the materiality assessment against ISCA 1.2, which is the tool we'll be using for the project. And finally, just quickly, initiatives and innovations. So we've been working in the background on a lot of things that we've provided to our contractors. Some of those things we're mandating, and some of them we're effectively suggesting to them and asking that they further look into the feasibility. So one of the latter category, I guess, is geothermal energy in the stations, in terms of providing heating and cooling. When I talked about collaboration earlier, that was with University of Melbourne, who coincidentally are getting a station right out the front door. And this is one of those things that we're saying to our bidders: we've done some work, we want you to investigate the feasibility of that further and take that forward if possible. In terms of Portland cement reduction, we have mandated a reduction of 36%, and we have worked with a group of people and organisations in relation to that. And in terms of station ratings, as I said before, we have developed a world-first tool in terms of underground stations. That's adaptable to above-ground stations. Not everyone's building underground ones. It doesn't happen very often in Australia, so there is the opportunity for others to use that as well. And finally, we are developing a living infrastructure plan, and this talks back to the point I made earlier, which is about the different type of ecology that we're dealing with in the inner city, and also addressing livability and urban heat island effect in the way that the project is designed and delivered. And we've been collaborating with Loci Environment and Place in developing that. We've been working on some biophilic design guidelines, and in collaboration with Deakin Uni. Again, that's something that our bidders have been asked, we've made that available to our bidders and put the challenge down to them to take that further. And finally, in terms of water-sensitive urban design, again, we've set up a working group, including with Melbourne Water, about how we make sure that we get the best water outcomes out of the project during the design and delivery. So I might wrap up there. I'm mindful that I'm the last person before lunch. I guess our journey's only really just started. We've been going about 18 months or so. We're a 10-year project, and I guess we're interested in, we think we've laid really good foundations for the design and delivery. I guess the next challenge is for our bidders and contractors to deliver on what we've set up. Thank you.